Hello. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to join me. I really do appreciate it. I know our time is precious, especially in our society nowadays. There is so little time to do the things that we need to do. So I do thank you for taking this time today. For those of you who are just joining me, my name is Evelyn Knight. I am the founder and CEO of Childcare Business Professionals and the host of the Childcare Business Coach podcast. I'm also a childcare center owner. Like most of you, I am in the trenches every single day. Let me know you're here as you hop on. If you're watching the replay, let me know where you're from. I actually have an international customer base, and between my podcast and the live presentations I do, my YouTube, my Facebook channels, it's pretty cool. I love seeing where all of you are from. So let me know where you are from. And just so that you know you're in the right place, we are doing the Child Care Business Success Summit Bootcamp. And let me go back into comments. Good morning, Shailyn. How are you this morning? I hope you're having a great morning. I love the interaction, by the way, you guys. So keep your comments coming, your questions. I do like doing this where you guys just get to interact with me. So just a couple of housekeeping of things I want to go through with you guys today. For this workshop, I'm just going to give you guys a brief overview again on how this works every day. It is really important if this is going to make a difference in your centers and for you as a professional ECE provider, you want to show up every day. This is like, they're basically running a successful childcare center is like a puzzle. And every piece is important to this, right? So if you watched my enrollment boot camp, you'll know that I have all these different pieces that come together to ensure that you get that enrollment into your center. This is the same thing, no different, that we need to make sure that all the pieces are in there so that you have that strong foundation to have a successful childcare center. So every day, I'm going to talk about a different pillar. And yesterday, I explained to you guys how I came up with these pillars, right? I explained to you guys how each one of these are key components that I came up with to ensure three things were happening successfully in my center. That I had enrollment, that I had retention of both staff and that enrollment, and that I was bringing what was best to the children, right? And of course, I have to throw financials in there, that I had healthy, strong financials, right? So, but those three things are really how I looked at my personal success as a child care center owner. And as a former director, I've been director for years, but it's basically enrollment, retention, and quality. Those are my three found the things that I rate myself on, right? And a little bit today of what I'm going to talk about is expectations and how do you really set those expectations? Well, those are expectations I set for myself. If I'm getting the enrollment and I'm retaining, which means I now have a wait list, right? If I'm hiring staff and I'm retaining them and they're producing, which you're going to know if your staff is producing if you're retaining the children and if you're getting that waitlist status, right? And if you know that you're having high quality standards, you know that other people are judging you based on your quality and you're getting that affirmation. Those are the ways I keep myself accountable as an owner and how I keep my director accountable, how I basically judge the performance that I feel she is doing. So those are my key performance indicators, right? Those are what in the business world are called KPIs. And one thing I want to talk to you guys a lot about right now, or just a little bit about, I'm going to mention is one of my goals is to really educate childcare professionals on the business side of things, right? It is so important. And it's something we don't talk a lot about in our industry. Again, like I said yesterday, we are teachers, we're moms, we are all these things, but we're not business people. But then we step into these business roles. So it's really, really important for us to learn the business behind childcare in order to have a successful center, right? Ironically, my specialty is actually in the children. My specialty is in behavior management, classroom management. But ironically, even for my own clients, I don't teach that, even though that is what I went to college for, what I specialize in. But there's so many people out there teaching it. right? That I decided I need to focus on something that is really going to grow the childcare industry that isn't being taught. And it is, but it's not quite being taught to the quality standards that I hold my centers to. And it's definitely not being taught by people who are in the trenches like I am, who are an actual owner like I am, who go to a childcare center just like you guys, right? So that's where I really focus on business. And that's why I hire Prana Richards to come into my for my members and teach that behavior and classroom piece, right? And she's a genius at it, of course. So that's the other reason why. But so today we're talking about your center's culture. Yesterday was the absolute foundation piece, and that I will always preach to you guys about, which is our vision, right? Today is culture, which is also your branding. And I'll mix branding in there a little bit, but we're going to talk about your center's culture. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about your dream team. And that's the one that you guys need to be on. I'll tell you, all of this is very important. Every piece is important. But I am going to talk to you guys tomorrow about how I created my dream team from the team that I already had. This is the same team. I would walk in and think to myself, they all need to go. They need to just go. And I thought I needed to fire every single one of them, right? But I came to realize that it was me as a leader that was lacking. It wasn't my team. It wasn't my team. I have the same ladies, right? I have retention that is a little bit crazy. I mean, some of my girls have been with me for 13 years. So, hi, Prana. I just mentioned you. If you're just hopping on, I just mentioned a shout out for you. There's Prana there, our expert at classroom management and behavior management. So tomorrow will be about the dream team. And on Thursday, we're going to be talking about your business structure. And it's like your operating system. A lot of people don't quite understand what that means. So I'm going to talk to you guys about why you need an operating system, why you need real policies and procedures, and how to get there, right? And how and I am going to have to talk to you guys a little bit about that today because it will fit into the culture piece. So the next and final one, which is Friday, which is probably, it kind of ties everything together, is high quality research-based standards. The reason I always have to throw research-based on there is I talk to so many owners who think they have quality centers, right? But they don't. And what I see this the most in are former school teachers or principals. And they start a childcare center and they decide that they're going to make the childcare center look like an elementary school. And that is not quality for children. That is very poor quality. And you might be wondering, like, why? Why is that poor quality? Well, the reason that actually illustrates a poor quality is because if you think of where a child's brain is, right? And I have to go back to the Finnish studies. And the American school system is currently, it was last year. I haven't looked at 2021, to be honest, but it was 33rd in the world for performance for our students, right? And Finland is number one. Finland school system follows brain development from birth on up, right? We do not in the United States. And but our preschools, our ECE in the United States does. We really do focus on what is developmentally and neurologically appropriate. Okay. So if you are designing your childcare center, your preschool program, like a fourth grade classroom, you are not doing what's best for the children, right? If you are using dittoed photocopied sheets, you're not doing what's best for the children. I can tell you that right now. I can tell you, if walk around, if really quick indicator when I'm walking around a center to know if it is a high quality program, two things I look for. I can walk into a classroom and know within 3 seconds what kind of quality you guys have by two indicators. First of all, I look at, where are things hanging on your wall? Are they down at the child's level or are they up high at an adult's level, right? I also look, do you have something like a blackboard that's up here that the teachers are writing on, right? And so just what's on your walls and how and where are they placed? That's what I'm looking at first and foremost. What's on your walls and where are they placed? Second thing I look at if I'm assessing a center to see if it's a high quality center is, where's your furniture placement? Do you have it all up against walls? or is it kind of free flowing, right? And how much is there in the room? Okay, those are the things I look at, and I can tell within 3. And I'm sure Prerna, I'm sure you're the same way, where you can see videos, you can see pictures of centers, and just those 2 things: what are on your walls and where are they placed, right? And how is your furniture placed? I know if you're a quality center or not, just like that. So when I used to go in and help assess and do performance on quality, and I don't do that as much anymore, even though it was my specialty for years. So I just know, and that is because a lot of people are looking at elementary schools and they're assuming, oh, we need to make our centers look like this, right? But that isn't quality. And if you look at the development, the way I train people on this is, would you set up a 3rd grade classroom the same way you set up a 7th or an 8th grade classroom? Would you have 3rd graders going from room to room, right? Or would you do it the way we do it now, where it's more developmentally appropriate? When you set up your classrooms like they're a 1st grade, a 2nd grade, a 3rd grade classroom, you're basically doing the same thing as somebody who would set up a 3rd or 4th grade classroom as if it were a 7th or an 8th grade or even a 9th grade classroom, right? It's not developmentally appropriate. And that's why I say to watch for research-based quality standards. So again, that's one of my soapboxes I love to get on. And so we'll talk about that on Friday, though. And I'm also going to have some bonus sessions. If you guys would like, let me know. I'd be happy to host a question and answer session for you guys on Monday. So let me know if that's something you guys would like, and I can squeeze that into my schedule, where basically we can just jump on Zoom. I'll have an open Zoom meeting. And what I actually might do is just open up my office hours to the general public. And so you guys can just jump on, pick my brain, ask me questions. So in the comments, let me know if that's something you'd like, or you can message me and let me know if you guys would like a question and answer session with me. I would be happy to host one of those for you guys also. Okay, so I don't want to take up too much of your time. So I'm going to jump right in today and just go over what we're going to be talking about today. And one last thing is, all of this does come down on Tuesday. So this is a course. I do like to put it out there for free for you guys 2 or 3 times a year. I do like to present this for free, but I do also sell this course. So because of that, all of this is coming down on Tuesday. So you guys have until Tuesday to go through, to print the workbook. Well, we're emailing you guys the workbook, so you'll have that, and so that you have it for your notes for the future. But basically, to watch the videos, to get the other resources. After Tuesday, it all goes away. So make sure, even if you have to binge it on the weekend, you get all that in, since it will be going away shortly. So today we are going to talk about culture. And I want to explain to you guys the business behind culture. And part of what I'm trying to bring a lot of different business terms to you guys, so you guys start getting really familiar with how business works. So like earlier, I talked about KPIs, which are called key performance indicators, right? That's what KPI. And you'll hear a lot of that in the business world. And there's different things that we need to set up to make sure our performance is where it needs to be, right? So financially, you're going to have some KPIs, right? You're going to know, how are you performing? Are you charging enough per child? Is this classroom really where it's going to be? In our industry, the other thing you can look at are child assessments, right? How are the children performing as a whole? Of course, you're going to have some children when you're doing assessments and screeners that aren't quite to where we want them to be. But if your whole classrooms are coming up to par, like if all your children are lacking in fine motor, then that's a problem with the classroom, right? So that's something you can look at for key performance indicators. For me, the 3 I was talking about, right, are going to be enrollment, retention, and quality. Those and those are things that are measurable. Those are things that I can measure. So when you're looking at KPIs, key performance indicators, it's things you can measure, right? So your culture is really going to come into these KPIs. Your culture is going to kind of revolve around that. So one of the things I learned from Mike Michalowicz years ago, who wrote the Profit First series, is that you want to make sure you have your center's queen bee role, is what we always call it, our queen, right? And basically, it's your center's superpower. that's what your culture is going to revolve around. So I want you guys to think of companies like, I think the easiest one is like Starbucks Bucks versus McDonald's. McDonald's, according to my husband, I'm not a coffee drinker. I don't drink. I'm a tea drinker, but which I have my tea here somewhere. I keep thinking like, where is my tea? Coffee at McDonald's, my husband says is really good quality. He said it's just as good as Starbucks, but Starbucks coffee cost what, like 3 times more, right? 3 to 4 times more. Why is that? Why, if McDonald's sells a good cup of coffee that is comparable to the quality of Starbucks, why is it that Starbucks can charge so much more for the same comparable product, right? And let's look at and there's a lot of things like that, right? If you guys look at designer cars, I mean, Alexis is a Toyota, right? My husband ran car dealerships for years, so we talk. I mean, I guess they are a little bit higher quality, absolutely. I'm not going to say that they're comparable, but it's just like that next level Toyota, right? Or if you look at Macy's versus Walmart, why is it that they can charge such different prices for similar products, right? You can go in to here's a great example. I buy a certain kind of perfume. I had just gone and bought a little bottle of this perfume for $70 a couple weeks ago at one of the I can't remember if it was Ulta or Sephora. A couple days later, I go into Sam's Club and that same perfume, instead of $70, it's $45. Why is it that Ulta can sell that product for $70 and Sam's Club can sell it for $45? It's their brand. It's what they're putting out into the world. And the better question is, why do we go in and pay for it? Why do we pay for Starbucks coffee? Why do we pay to go to places like Ulta or Macy's instead of Walmart? And it's the experience, right? That is the culture that you create is going to create your brand. It is going to become what people say about you. It's going to become your reputation. A lot of you are not intentionally creating your brand. I was that owner once upon a time. The first center I owned, I didn't know that you had to create a brand, so I let it create itself. I did nothing. And I can tell you right now, if you are not intentionally creating the culture within your center that you want to put out into the world, I guarantee you that culture is creating itself. You have a culture. And unfortunately, it's probably not a great culture. You probably don't have the best reputation, right? I know at the time before I intentionally started creating my culture, I had a huge gossip issue within my center. They were gossiping to parents. It just wasn't a professional environment, right? Definitely wasn't the culture that I have today. And it's not the culture I want the public to know about, right? It was just it wasn't great. And I didn't have the best reputation at the time. I did not have the best reputation. I can also tell you the center I own now. You guys know I own Zoo and Around Preschool here in my beautiful city here. And Zoo and Around had a horrible reputation when I first purchased it. They were my competitor when I purchased Zooin. And we used to go to the same pool for our field trips. And when one day when the city got wind I was purchasing Zooin, the person who was running the pool in town that we would both share called me. And she said, Evelyn, I heard you're purchasing this business, but I have to tell you, you're about to inherit something that you're just not going to be ready for. She says, and I don't know this lady. Let me tell you, I don't know this person. She said, when your center comes here, your teachers are attentive, they're professional, the children are well cared for. When that center comes here, the girls literally tan, read magazines, and let the kids do whatever you want. That is a culture. Okay, that is a culture that was created between my center and the center I was purchasing, right? So that is what the public saw. That was the brand that they had created. Their business name was associated with lazy teachers who didn't take care of the children, right? Gorgeous building. I can tell you guys, if you on the surface, Zoo and Around's building cost over $1 million to build. the building I was in cost about 350,000, right? And this was years ago. So I mean, and so keep that in perspective. We're talking 2005, 2007-ish, so what money is today wasn't what it was then. That was $1.2 million was a lot of money then. I mean, it is now, but it was a lot more then, right? So gorgeous building, state of the art, but it still had that reputation of, and the brand that they had created was still one of not so high quality. And here I was in a building that wasn't quite as beautiful and state of the art, but I had a reputation already of quality, right? Because that's the brand. That is what I wanted to put out in the world. That was the culture of my center. Every business has a culture. And you guys know you can go from one gas station to a gas station across the street, and it's going to be totally different, right? I mean, think about it. When you're on a road trip, there's certain gas stations I'll use the bathroom in, certain ones I will not. That is the culture a company creates, right? That is your reputation. It is so very important because it really is who your center is, right? And you have to be intentional. So when I took Zooin over, I had a lot of work to do. I had to change that culture. I had to make that my brand, not what it was there. And it's possible. You can definitely turn it around. Not only have I had to turn around my own business when I wasn't creating a culture, right? And I did at one point have a pretty poor, I had a culture of gossip and just a lot of issues where it wasn't professional. But now I've bought a few different companies at this point where I've had to go in and switch the culture around, and total mind shift, right? And just total mindset shift in the employees, the parents, everything. You can fix your childcare center's culture. So what I would advise you guys is, first of all, think of, what do you want your culture to look like? How do you want people to see your center, right? And what you want to think about is, when there's two moms at, let's say there's a football game going on, right? And the children, or a soccer game, whatever is popular in your town. And you've got two moms talking about where to enroll their toddler. What do you want them to say about you? In your community, what reputation do you want people to see that you have, right? What kind of talk do you want people to be saying? In my center, when people talk about my center, I know it's, oh, if you can get in there, you're lucky. Their wait list is years long. I actually have had parents. One time I was at Zooin, and this parent came in, and I told them, my wait list is over a year long at this point. I have 300 children on there. It's really long. I'm sorry, I just don't have room. I literally had a dad pull out $500 in cash and say, if you get my child to the top of that list, you can have this right now. And I was just like, wow. It was kind of an exciting moment for me. I'm not going to lie. It was like, that is so cool. This guy's like, and it was an epiphany moment where I realized what level my center had gotten to, where this man was literally offering me $500 just to push his child up to the top of the list. But in order to stay true to my integrity and my center's culture, I had to say, no, I'm sorry, sir. You have to wait just like everybody else, right? I did not take the 500. I told him no. I did, Shiloh. I just told him no, I'm sorry. The integrity of my center, the culture I've created, the brand is too important. So no matter what, we have to stay true to that, right? Even when you got $500 cash in your face, you got to stay true to it, right? So we've had moms in tears. I mean, I've toured a mom. I know Brandy toured one that was really tough on her, where she was literally just in tears, so afraid she was going to have to enroll her children somewhere else. And she so badly wanted to put her children in Zooin that she was literally just crying over the fact that she couldn't get in. That's what you want for your brand, right? You just want that reputation. You want people to look at you on a level of excellence. And the way you're going to get there is by intentionally creating a culture of excellence within your center. So I have a couple tips for you guys on how does this happen, right? I can tell you, for me, the one most, well, there's two things that are very important. Yesterday, we talked about vision. Vision is going to be at the foundation of all of this. The thing about your vision is you have to make your vision contagious, okay? You have to make it so that your employees buy in and it becomes a part of them. It is how you're going to get them to the next level. And we're going to talk a lot more about this tomorrow. So I'm not going to tell you guys too much today about that, but your vision is going to be at the foundation. That's why having that strong, clear vision is so very important for you guys. You have to know your vision because you need to make that vision contagious. You need to sell it to your staff. You need to sell it to your city. You need to sell it everywhere, your communities. You really need to make this just such an integrated part of your center that the people that come to work for you because of your vision, right? I've actually had several people call. I don't have to actually post for jobs anymore. We haven't posted a job opening in years because people just come to us, and I recruit. That's something I train on totally differently. We recruit now. We come from a place of recruiting, not hiring. So that's why I don't have to put things on like Indeed.com or anything like that. But we'll talk more about that with our dream team tomorrow. So you have to know your vision and your culture. When you really are clear, right, it's going to revolve around that. The other thing is, when I was talking about your queen bee role, you have to know what is your queen bee role. My queen bee role is high quality research-based standards, right? Everything we do at Zoo and Around is going to revolve around high quality research-based standards. We call it serving the queen. That is our queen. That is the queen bee role. That comes first. So whenever we have to make a purchase, whenever we have to hire, fire, write somebody up, anything, we have to sit back and ask ourselves, how does this serve the queen? If we look at a performance of a teacher, is this teacher serving the queen, which is our high quality research-based standards, because that is the culture. I want to create a culture of professionalism, accountability, and quality, right? So at the forefront of that, though, if you look at what all those things, it's quality. That is what it takes to make up quality. Doing what's best for the children, bringing what's best for them is quality, right? Which is why quality is my superpower. It's why it's my queen bee role. Okay. So what you guys need to figure out is, what is your superpower? What is your queen bee role? I know I'm being messaged right now from an amazing, wonderful woman who she has decided to serve the autistic community in ECE. And I just think it's amazing what she's doing. So her queen bee role is going to be serving autistic children, right? So everything she does needs to revolve around that. Okay. And then I have another client who is a nature-based program. She really wants to bring just nature and, the earth and everything to her children. So her queen bee role is going to be nature-based, right? So that is basically what you guys need to decide. What is it that drives you? And yesterday I had you guys, if you did the homework yesterday, which if you guys go under the Facebook change, it's called guides now. There is a homework tab, and it's going to instruct you guys to tell me what are your values, right? Some of you guys put some great values in there. Look at those values and see, is there one thing that can summarize those values? That's going to be your queen bee role. Okay, it's that summary of what are your values. That will be your queen bee role. And I'm sorry, I'm talking so much. I need some water. Yes, serving the queen, right, Prina? I do too. If you guys look, I actually have queen bees everywhere just to keep reminding myself. Like my one of my clients actually made this for me. It's got my name on one side, the queen bee on the rest. And we constantly talk about the queen bee, and I keep the symbols of the queen bee around me because for me, I have an overarching queen bee, right? And so with that, whatever company I'm in, so that symbol of the queen bee reminds me, I have to keep focused on the queen. I have to keep focused on the queen. And Zuin's queen is quality, and they know. And Brandy's even come to where, what was it, last summer? I wanted to buy one of those giant inflatable water bounce house things. And she asked me, she's like, okay, that's a pretty big purchase. And I mean, I'm talking the commercial ones. And she said, Evelyn, that's a big purchase. How does that serve the queen? And I just had to laugh. I'm like, that is just awesome. When my staff comes back at me with my own words and what I've trained them, I just love it. And I had to just kind of step back and say, okay, maybe we're not going to buy a commercial grade bounce house water park thing. Maybe that doesn't really serve the queen. So it's a wonderful thing though, when your staff just buys in so much and they get it. And it becomes their passion and their driving force too, which is what will happen. And that's going to create your culture, which is also creating your brand and your reputation, right? I think the key to this, from all the research I've done on business and all of just my personal experience as a leader in ECE, is accountability. You have to basically have a culture and of accountability. But that also means you have to have key performance indicators for each staff member, right? That means you have to have expectations. And those expectations should be built around your vision. What is your vision, first and foremost? What are you trying to accomplish, right? And then that's going to be the foundation, right? Is our vision. Then you're going to figure out what are the values that are going to feed into that vision. Okay. And then you're going to say, what is our queen bee role that really supports those values, right? And then you're going to come up with expectations. So you're building this structure within your business where you're starting in that foundational piece, which is your vision, and it's building up, right? And each one of these pieces that I'm giving you are just building one on top of the other. So now, based on your vision, your values, your key performance, you're going to come up with those key performance indicators, which are going to be the expectations that you set up for your staff, yourself, and your company, right? That is where you're going to end up creating this culture for your center. And that's where you're going to get to that professionalism level. That's where you're really going to take your center to the next level. I hear so many times, and I see it in your Facebook groups, on Insta, all over the place, everywhere I'm LinkedIn, everywhere that I'm connected to the ECE world. We need to be seen as professionals. We need to be seen as professionals. But I'm here to tell you guys that a lot of times we don't act like professionals. If we want the ECE world to be seen as professionals, then we need to start really working on creating a culture of professionalism. And this is how you're going to do it. You have to know, what are you going for? You have to set up expectations. And you've got to hold your team accountable to them. You have to hold yourself accountable first and foremost. There's nothing. One of my mottos is, I will ask my team to do nothing I'm not willing to do first. I won't hold them accountable for something I'm not willing to hold myself accountable for first, right? So first of all, you have to set up your own expectations. You have to know, like I told you guys earlier, what are my expectations as a business owner? It's enrollment, retention, and quality, right? Those are all things I can weigh, right? Let's see. Shailin says that is things I need to work on. My teacher's expectation. Yes. And our guide, we can mentor them each. Exactly. You need to transform from coach to mentor, and we will talk. Well, you need to do both, but from manager to mentor is a huge leap that takes you to the next level. And we will definitely talk to that. And Shailin, you're one of my clients, so we can definitely meet this month. I don't know if you've met with me yet in July, but we can definitely meet so we can start setting that up for you. That is all within my membership program. That's something that I can help you really just develop through my membership program. So the expectations, I do have that. It's not in a list. It's more in a very in-depth training. But I do have the key. I can help you with that, because we do have that, the expectations, everything. I'll just guide you through that. So we need to schedule time to talk, since you are one of my clients anyway. So basically, you have to have those expectations and goals, right? And your team needs to know exactly what is expected of you. If you guys are on any kind of quality, then the Eckers and the ITers are excellent key for performance indicators. If you guys know the Eckers books, the ITers books, I can put them in the show notes for you guys, or these notes. I'm talking podcast lingo now. Sorry, guys. But in the comments, I can put the Eckers and the ITers links. Those are great key performance indicators. They're great expectations. And yes, it's a lot. It is a lot. But what we're doing is a lot. We are forming 90% of the human brain, right? For the first 5 years of life, these children are performing. They are actually developing 90% of the brain. So are we asking a lot by following ITers and Eckers? Yeah, but our jobs are big, and the children are worth it. So the Eckers and ITers are a great place to start. So basically, the last thing I want to talk to you guys about is, how much do you tolerate? when you set up these expectations, right? And the expectations do need to be clear, they need to be in writing, and they need to be vocalized, right? And I'll talk about that more tomorrow because your team is really going to be at the core of this. Your team is what is getting put out there into the world. But how much do you tolerate? What I want to leave you guys with today, and I want to ask you, is are you tolerating substandard performance in your centers? Right? I see it all the time where people are like, oh, they call in, they do this, they do that. Why is that? Honestly, you guys, why is that? Is it really what we're tolerating? Are you so afraid to lose staff? Because I know it's hard right now. Believe me, I know how hard it is to find staff right now with the culture we're in right now, the unemployment being so easy and so much money. It is hard, but how much are you tolerating? Have you really created this culture within your center where it's hard to keep your center staffed, where you've got people calling in, or they're getting angry when they mess up and you try to hold them accountable because they're not used to being held accountable? Have you created a culture of accountability and quality, or have you created a culture where everybody just gets away with everything, right? Have you basically accepted mediocrity for your center by not holding your staff accountable, by not having any type of accountability measures? So those are some of the things that I really want to talk to you guys more about. Just really, that is a game changer, is holding staff accountable. Let's see. And I can't see who you are. Facebook, it just tells me Facebook user if you haven't given StreamYard permission, but it's absolutely staffing count. Wait to learn more about recruiting. Yes. Tomorrow, I'm going to talk to you guys. I'm going to give you guys a bird's eye view of my, how I staff, and basically how we've come from a place of recruiting instead of hiring, and how we pick people, basically, because we do pick people. And we will talk about that tomorrow. So I just want to leave you guys with just that. I want you guys to really do some soul searching and ask yourself, Elizabeth, hi. So Elizabeth, I have a whole training for you guys on that in the membership group. So I will actually tag you in that. I'll find it and tag you on the recruiting model that we use. Basically, we get our whole staffing on it, but I will tag you in that since you're one of my members too. But again, I want you guys to ask yourself, have I tolerated this culture of substandard mediocrity in my center because I am not holding people accountable? But before you ask that, even look at that, do you guys have something in place that you can hold your people accountable to? Is there some type of indicators that you can actually pull out and say, hey, look, you were trained on this. This is what I expect of you. These are your expectations. You were trained on this. You're not meeting the expectations I had for you, right? Being a leader can be hard because we have to do the hard things too, right? It's very easy for us to go and always do the happy, fluffy part of it where it's like, you're doing a great job. I love you doing this. I love you doing that. But in order to be a great leader, you also have to tell them where they're lacking. You have to go in and just say, hey, your interactions aren't really happening today. Maybe we need to try this, this, and this. I need to see you more with the children on the floor playing and less doing busy work, right? Because that is what's really, truly important. Not making sure everything is constantly picked up, but being with the children. So sometimes the constructive criticism, it can be hard. Unfortunately, in our society, people have become so accepting of mediocrity that we now live in a culture where people aren't used to constructive criticism, right? Especially if you're hiring people from other centers, they've pretty much gotten away with everything. Nobody ever holds them accountable. They call in as often as they want. They're not turning in curriculum. They're not doing their jobs. They're just showing up every day. And they do work, but because no one's ever held them accountable, they think that their mediocre performance is actually good, right? So that is something we need to get away from, and we need to hold people to higher standards. And there are gentle ways to do it. It doesn't have to be heavy-handed, but we do need to help people. We need to lead them to get to the next level. So I hope that's helpful for you guys. I hope you guys join me tomorrow when we talk about creating your dream team. And Elizabeth, I will tag you in that. Let's see. One of the best things I learned from working for her is holding myself accountable when I make mistakes. And it's, oh, that must be Brandy. And it's okay to, Brandy, it just says Facebook user. So it must be you. And it's okay to make mistakes. And most importantly, owning your mistakes. Absolutely. I mean, I think Brandy knows early on. It could be Alana also, but that sounds more like Brandy. As I can forgive anything almost if you are accountable, right? So Brandy knows, like I know when she first started working for me, it was kind of a learning curve for her. Oh, it's Alana. Hi, Alana. So yeah, and Alana, same thing. Where I've trained my staff to know that if you take accountability, I'll get over everything pretty much. There's not much I'm not going to get over. I mean, of course, we take care of children. There's some things I cannot tolerate. But for the most part, if my staff comes to me and says, hey, I messed up, this is what I did. Or if they say like, hey, I don't know what to do here, here, and here. I don't really even care about the mistakes for the most part. The reason is if somebody comes and takes accountability for their actions, it tells me that that person is trainable. It tells me I have something to work with. We can fix this. But the person who takes no accountability, places blame, and will not own up to their mistakes, I can't help them. I can't fix what they don't know is broken. I can't change what I need fixed, right? So not even a year ago, in the middle of COVID, I was doing an employee review on one of our staff members. And when I was going over, I say the same thing almost every time, where I do what we call our glows and grows. And the glows are the good things they did, and the grows are the places of growth they need. And I always start by telling them, hey, look, none of us are perfect. And we always strive to be the next level, always strive to be better than what we were yesterday. And I told her, I'm not perfect. I'm still trying to get better. I'm still learning. I'm still trying to get to that next level. She literally looked at me and said, well, I think I have achieved the level of perfection in the classroom. And I literally fired her on the spot, because I knew that if she honestly thought that she has reached the level of perfection, there's nothing I can do for this girl. I can't make her a better teacher. I can't help her to grow. That's it. This is who she is and who she will always be. And there is no getting her to a next level. There's always somebody better than, right? There's always that next level of ourselves that we can get to. There's always that next step. Whether you are an owner, director, I don't care a master teacher, we can always get to a next level. So accountability is huge. I will not work with people who don't take accountability. It is just one of my rules. And I know poor Brandy, my director, she just was like, oh my gosh, how could you fire her? It's the middle of COVID. You just got rid of somebody in the middle of COVID. But I just knew right then and there, like, if you can't take accountability and you think you're perfect, there's nothing I can do for you. Let's see. We often, how often do you use glows and grows? We also, we use those also. We do. So Brandy does monthly observations of the classrooms. And so she actually does the glows and grows in the classrooms every month. If a teacher needs individualized, she will individualize them monthly, but she does do monthly observations and does grows and glows monthly. Now I come in and do them annually for like employee reviews, like the major employee reviews, right? I do it annually, but Brandy does do it monthly. And let me tell you really quick, you guys, you want to make sure you're doing this monthly, quarterly, whatever, because once a year, twice a year isn't enough. It's not enough to develop your team. It has to be ongoing constantly. So basically, Brandy will observe a classroom every week and then do feedback. So like, let's say, for example, this week you're observing the infants you might be giving feedback to your 4-year-old classroom, right? Next week, you're going to give feedback to the infant classroom while you observe your 2-year-olds, right? So you're constantly doing that cycle. If that's something you are thinking, oh, I don't have time to do that, you do have time. You just don't know how to manage your time. Our center is a fairly big center. Brandy's dealing with about 150 families, 21 staff members. Well, right now we don't have 21, but we've been maxed at 21 staff members, 150 families. And as the director, she finds time. So those of you guys who took my organizational chart training, you know how she does it. Also, if you're my member, you take my time management trainings. I have all of this within my membership program for you guys. I teach you how to make the time as a director and an owner. How do you find the time? I bring you to that. I teach you how to find the time. And then I teach you how do you organize your center, come up with that organizational structure in order to make sure each team member knows what they're supposed to be doing. Let's see, I'm almost 100% income. My leadership, do I have the right to train a team? Absolutely. Okay, so this question, I want to put better person for others. Okay, I'm 100% confident in my leadership. Do I have the right to train? Absolutely. You need to watch my video. Was it last week or the week before I did on imposter syndrome? I recorded a video, and I'm sorry, as you can see, this is, if you don't give StreamYard permission, that's what I see. It just says Facebook user. It doesn't tell me who you are. But basically, what do you think you need to get that right? Why do I have a right to train the team? Why do I have the right to come in here and train you guys? What gives me that right? That is something that we struggle with. That's called imposter syndrome, right? Where we feel like, well, I don't have this, I don't have that. I'm here to tell you guys right now. Oh, hi, Krisha. Of course you do. You absolutely can train your team. You're an amazing director. So you can absolutely train your team. But you need to watch my video on imposter syndrome. I can tell you guys, it'll never be enough. You guys, I came to a point in my life where I was just chasing one degree after another, right? And I'm very close to getting a PhD. And I actually made the conscious decision that I'm not going to do it. And I decided that I'm not going to do it for a very important reason, because I realized that I always felt like I was lacking. When I had my associate's degree, or before I had it, I was like, oh, I just need a degree. So I got my associate's degree. And then I got my associate, and I'm like, well, I really need a bachelor's degree. So I need to keep going. I just, once I get there, then I'll be where I need to be. Then I'll be the person I need to be. Then I'll be the professional I need to be. So I got my bachelor's. Then I got my bachelor's, and I'm like, yeah, but I don't have a master's degree. I really can't say that I'm a great owner or I'm this or that until I get my master's degree, because without that, I'm not there. So I got my master's degree, right? And then but I don't have the title. Maybe in order to really be able to get out there and be a great owner and a great leader, I need to have that doctor in my title, right? I need to be Dr. Knight. So I looked into getting my PhD. I then realized, and you guys, my degrees in psychology, so I really started to just do some soul searching, and I realized that it's never going to be enough, right? I've owned 4 centers, and I compare myself. I interviewed somebody for my podcast who owned 17, so I automatically go into, oh well, who am I to teach people how to be a good owner? I only owned 4 centers in my life. I don't own 17, so you're never going to feel like it's always going to be something. So just get that, you guys, you can train your team. Absolutely. You have the right to be a trainer. So that's, I had to get up on that soapbox there. Sorry, you guys, but you guys don't let that imposter syndrome. If that's something you struggle with, if you feel like you didn't earn where you're at, that you got lucky, if you feel like you don't belong where you're at, if you feel like you're going to be found out one day, like, gosh, I don't know why people, I'm going to be found out. They're going to find out that I'm not who I think I am. Watch my video on imposter syndrome, because it's not true. You guys are good enough. You just need the tools sometimes. All of you, you're good enough. If you got to this level and you're a leader, you're where you belong. Sometimes we just need to develop tools. And like I said, we need to get to that next level of self, right? There's always a next level. So that's all it is. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. I hope you guys join me tomorrow, and make sure you leave me your questions. You can message me, leave questions in the comments. The questions in the comments are fantastic because then everybody can just see what you have to ask. And a lot of people also have the same questions. So I will be here at the same time tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day, everybody.